19, and I'm chair of this meeting, and Melanie is secretary of this meeting. Okay, yeah, that's as before. Mr. Secretary, or Mr. Secretary, let's go ahead and change the format. The chair right now is Jing, the secretary is Melanie, and Chris is the recorder. So let's make an update on that so we're all clear. We'll start with old business first. What does the endpoint for revenue manager look like? Content feeds into reservation, reservation to revenue, revenue into location. Test referred to a similar listing in the same location. Okay. I'm not sure what this is about. Does anybody have any update they would like to tell the chair or the committee on what is meant by this? Yes, Malik.
Okay. Actually, I'm first and foremost, my name is Tech, but I have not followed up with this. I'm so sorry. I will do it by next week, I promise.
Okay.
But I think what this is that we were looking at some of the broken listings in the sense like they were either what do you call that? Like false listings and all that.
Yeah.
So question is, how do we then find all these broken listings and then kind of fix them? And
I see.
That was what I think we spoke about the last time.
Okay. So, are there any motions on how we can do this? Okay, if there's no motions, I'd like to make a motion. I think we can create a new workflow for essentially I motion that we create a workflow for fixing broken listings. So I would like to create a subcommittee with me, Nungli, and who else should be in this? Let's just start with me and Nungli on what is the activity we must go through to fix a listing that is not productive, right? And I think we can come back with a workflow by the next meeting. So that is my motion. Do I have a second? Okay, all right, so motion carries. Everyone has voted on. So on this particular mode, let's set a due date for the next meeting, which will be on June 26th, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and the secretary, can we delete this? Can we delete the title point and the first point because I'm not sure how that relates to any of the other things. So, okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, great. And then the first bullet point below fix broken listing workflow, I think we can just remove that. That didn't seem to add any clarity. Okay, very good. Next topic is the La Jolla yield management proposal.
Yeah.
What is the update on that?
Chris, could you just click on that thing?
Okay.
So basically, let me also, so this coming up, actually, I've already taken you guys through this proposal. There are some amendments. If you can scroll to point 4, which is where you are right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've had a discussion with Celine, and the agenda of the meeting was really trying to get her to allow us to do pricing change, right?
Okay.
The process. Okay. So we already had discussion that there is a smart down and smart up strategy. So she's agreed that we can smart down in terms of get right.
Okay, very good. Very good. I didn't know that. Okay, great.
So she's allowed us to do that, but she's given us some parameters to work with.
Yeah.
So get right within the next 10 to 30 days we can apply a 10% discount from contract rate.
Okay.
This is also applicable during peak season as well.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I deleted the last bit. I will later. And then also for empty nights over the next 1 to 10 days, she will allow us to apply a 15% discount from contract rates.
Okay.
Also applicable during peak season as well.
Okay.
These 10 to 15% discounts could be adjusted along the way, up or down when it's work, but I think this is a test. Let us just see, let the results show what exactly the changes we show.
Very good. Thank you, Nungli. All right. Is there any discussion about this topic? Yes, Chair recognizes Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, so I believe that this already passed and it's already been agreed with La Jolla. So this will apply to both of the instant bookable listing and non-instant bookable listings, which means that it will impact the operational side too as well. We need to have a new workflow, especially for those who will be registered on the Google Sheet. so that La Jolla team can understand what price to which reservation. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. I believe the workflow for reservations is still the same. The workflow now, Chris, okay, what would you like to say?
So the workflow is roughly the same, except on the part of on the Google Sheet there's a price.
The reporting price,
The
yeah.
price is usually filled up by Lajaya team. So now we have to decide who will put the price in. Is it Lajaya team or our team? And what the price should be put in? Is it the net price or is it the selling price?
I agree. Okay, so yes, thank you for bringing that up, Chris. There is now, I think, a danger of overpayment to La Jolla. There's an overpayment risk because essentially we are discounting the rate, but La Jolla will still be charging us the same rate, right? Unless they know which dates had an applicable discount. So we need to figure out a way to administer this so that there's clarity on if there's a discount applied. And I think that needs to then show up, and then we need to audit if those are actually being applied in our invoices.
Invoices, yeah.
Okay. So I think I may have a suggestion around this. So understand that the only change that needs to happen basically is that okay. So maybe let's look at the process first, right? In terms of changing prices, Celine is actually open to us changing it without informing her. But I said because this is a new agreement and partnership, I would suggest that we do the informing before we change, just for this current period of time. So right now, I think based on this process, I can go back to her and say like, look, now we're informing you. Since we're informing you already, your team needs to also reflect these prices on GS. So let's pass the baton over to them. That said, we've also said that I would do tracking of these adjustments on paper. So paper should then be, although very manual, but paper should then be the master.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Okay. Their team, I don't think, has any incentive to actually write a correct price.
Yeah.
Not our team either for the moment. So I think it has to be
Automatic.
Yeah, it has to be either automated or we need to have an MVP model, right? Where we start just applying discounts to one specific room and seeing if these get the cycle. Okay, so here's my motion. My motion: we apply an MVP to, let's just say, a specific category of rooms that we want to apply discounts. I think in this particular case, maybe the ocean view rooms, right, at La Jolla View. So the MVP is essentially this cycle. We're looking to see if the feedback cycle is complete. We'll discount it, report it, and then we will follow up on the invoice to see if we are being invoiced for the discounted rate or for the full rate. Once that MVP has proven itself to be working, and there seems to be a collaboration between our side and the Joy side, then we can implement it. The danger with this is that we might make nothing at all during the discounts. So we give a discount, the rest will charge the higher rate, and then we pay the old rate out. So I want to run through this multi-chapter, right? This goes from market building through to reservations, through to La Jolla side, and then coming back through finance. We need to see if this is being done correctly, and I propose that we take 1 month from now until, let's say, mid-July to run an MVP process through and see if we're getting the correct feedback. If we are, then I think we can scale it to the other rooms, and mostly it's just to get that work cycle done. Okay, all right. Is there a chicken in my motion? Okay, yes, Chris.
Okay, for this MVP, I would also like to suggest to roll it out to only our instant bookable listings. Because my reason is two. The first one, because we manage the price on Tokit and we just put one price and it will be applied to the thing. And then the second reason is that there's less manual work needs to do from both our team and their team, because they already understand that instant bookable doesn't need to be registered on Google Sheet anyways.
Which is even more, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Even more confusing because how do you distinguish between instant bookable that have been discounted and instant bookable at full price?
No, that's why my suggestion is to put this discounted thing or this dynamic pricing thing only applied on the instant bookable. So whenever there is a registration on Google Sheet, it means that it's following the contract rates.
But instant bookable rates will already be changed by then, right? Like, because that's not where the issue is. The issue is on Google Sheets. So we're testing it on a format that's not.
Yeah, the issue is on Google Sheets because if it's if I may, if it's instant book, La Jolla then does their own accounting on instant book, right?
Yeah.
So then there's no signal to them which instant book ones are charged at full price and which ones are charged at discount, right? There's no indication at all. So then La Jolla would then automatically charge us full price on all the instant book because they don't get a signal. How would they know that we had applied a discount to certain gap nights? So the only way we can signal is right now on Google Sheets. But then that's a problem too, because does a reservation person know that that is essentially been discounted, or is it paying for full price either, right? So there's a lot of signaling that can be lost during the whole thing, and the risk to us is essentially we get zero profit. We're trying to put in a discount to help La Jolla, but we end up making nothing on it. I suggest, okay, I motion we table this and have a subcommittee discussion on this because we got other things to handle right now, and it seems like this won't get handled in this particular meeting. So, can I get a second on this? Okay, great. Let's see. Okay, since we're working on this, Numi and I will have a discussion about how to signal La Jolla for whenever there is a new change, and then we'll come back with the result on that.
Okay, sorry, just a
Yeah.
clarification. How to signal La Jolla? What does how to signal La Jolla mean? Like, as in, like, when? What is the platform to communicate, and what is the process to communicate?
Yes. How do we communicate whenever a discount has? How do we communicate a booking where a discount has been applied?
So how do we communicate and record, right? So
Yeah.
that we both have the correct
Yeah.
recordings of.
No. It can actually be pretty simple. It can just be on the La Jolla side. Whenever the price is the contract rate, then the new contract rate has to be 15% below that.
Yes, that is the idea. It is a
Correct.
It's a flat discount.
So actually, the way can be very, very easy. It can be that La Jolla just bills us 85% of total instant book income.
That's that's what I'm saying. What? Yeah. Anyway.
Can we just do that? La Jolla just bills us 85% of instant book income.
I don't understand what that was.
Okay.
Yeah,
say-
that's why it's very
Okay. So there's essentially two categories of instant books, right? There's instant book at full price, and then there's instant book at 15%. Okay, well, we have 10 or 15%. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say for argument's sake, there's only two flavors, right? There's instant book at full price, and there's instant book at 15% discount. So the La Jolla invoice can just be 85% of whatever has been instant book, and that would essentially cover.
Yep, that's my point. Yes, I would fully agree on that. I would fully agree on that, and that's my proposal as well.
Okay. All right. So that could be the situation for instant book, and then the situation for requesting the book.
We're still following the
85% of whatever total income is, which then
No.
gets us to the dynamic pricing model.
okay, but for the
15% discount.
for the non-instant bookable listings, there is no way La Jolla can know what price that we charge. What price is the you earn thing, right?
Okay. Let's have a sub discussion about this and then come back to this point at the
Yeah.
next meeting. Yeah. I think this is good. This is why we integrated early, so that we could discover these things. But okay, so this part that Millie is writing, the secretary is putting in, is parts that have not been discussed with Celine, and I motion that we highlight it in green, yes, so that we know what parts are new and need to be readdressed to Celine, and what parts have already been addressed to Celine. Okay.
Percent of what again? Sorry.
The total income on instant book. That could be the simplest way to. Oh, shit. We have a sync up here, right? Yeah. Shit. I was going to ask you. Yeah, I've already ran over this limit. Can I push back 30 minutes? Hi, Gigi. How's it going? Hey, I'm on a revenue management deal meeting. Can I push this back 30 minutes now? Yeah, make this 3 o'clock. Okay, where are you, Gigi? You're at the airport. Where's your flight? Oh, when's your next flight? Oh, he's already there. He's already there. Okay. All right. Can we get back to you in about 30 minutes? Yeah, I just need to throw this thing with revenue management, guys. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Where's my head? Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll see you guys in 3 o'clock. Okay. Okay. So let's.
So, quick one.
Yeah.
On that same topic, she's also agreed for us to mark up.
Okay. And every time we mark up, they'll start charging us the same too, and then we keep the profit, right? What I predict is that LaJoya will not change the way they bill us. So every time we mark down, we have a lower contract. We should have a lower contract rate, but they'll just charge us the same.
So it will be based on the commission model, right? So that means if you take 15%, then it is 15% off the discounted rate.
Oh,
It's a markup.
right.
It is a markup based on the markup.
Right.
15% discount rate. And 15%
So how do they know when it's been sold at?
That's why
They
we
have to
the-
trust us, then, right?
That's why I said I offer the type of paper.
Right.
But they have to trust me that when I type of paper and then have the things that this is the single source of truth. You cannot
Right.
question me.
Okay. All
And
right.
if
Got it.
anybody wants that they want to get, I guess, when finances will take, literally just break it down transaction by transaction and then they reconcile the numbers.
Okay. Okay, we need to think about what the mechanism is. Okay, once again, this isn't the place to talk about it. Let's come back to this on June 26th with the solution of how to administer the financial reporting and the signaling for what particular deals are at discount, what particular deals are at markup, what particular deals are at marked out. Okay, let's go into the next topic. Okay, so this is pricing elasticity. We had discussed about this a few revolutions ago. I have brought up this proposal. So, I mentioned that we create a library, and in the library we can put whatever documents are useful for future reference. So we have a revenue management library, and our first article is on pricing elasticity. So that's my motion. Do I have a second? Okay, so the second, is there any discussion? Okay, let's move to a vote. All in favor of creating a revenue management library and putting new topics that we discovered about revenue management into the library, please vote now. Okay, done. Okay, so its motion carries. Mr. Secretary, we can now remove this from pricing elasticity from the theory of revenue management. All right, let's go to the next topic. Pricing this topic can now be deleted from old business. We have a place to put it. All right, next one. Market building that started leading owners down the projections model. What's the best framework for doing projections? Internal expert. Okay, so I guess to Nalita.
Okay, so this is actually old business which has been on here for quite a while. So we've already, Bayu and myself has pretty much aligned on this.
Okay,
so
very good.
I think we'll do this.
What should we, or what's the result of the engagements with the new owners?
Oh no, so the first one is different from the second one.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so
One is on how to formulate projections. So we're using Bayu's formula.
okay, go ahead.
So then Bayu has also shown the Excel sheet in the note, in the comment on the right hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take a look at that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
so this is done. And then, of course, then we started to, so the last debate was about monthly versus annual projections, which I then say I will test together Villa, Zenith, Katie and also the Long House. So Katie King, we tested, or Eddie tested, she kind of just glanced through and she didn't think too much around it. She was like, oh, okay. So I don't know if that is considered good feedback or bad feedback actually, or any sort of feedback at all. Long House actually, so Linda was still very confused about annual. She still wanted, she said like, but what does that mean? And then she also asked about what is the price as well. So she still wants me to go back with a price range. She said these numbers are okay, but she couldn't really give me a yes or a no. She just looked a little bit confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you like to do in terms of rolling this out to new owners? Is it something that needs to be refined before we roll it out, or is this time for a pivot, or what can we do?
I think projections work.
Okay, very good.
Now it's just a question whether it's annual and or do we present? It's just a question of how we present the projections, right?
That's good.
Whether it's monthly or whether it is annual. So far, based on the projections that I've received, hitting our projections, I don't think we're overachieved. So I've not had any backlash in that sense.
Okay.
Where we, but of course, that said, we have underachieved on some, like for example, education expenses.
Good. Every month, out of what's out of
It's just this month, sorry. Just this. Out of, I cannot remember the number of
okay. Percentage wise, what's the difference? 50% below. Okay, well that's a good signal to us that we're not doing enough to actually move forward. Right?
You mean but that's not very true. Chris and I have also been quite active on the NH residence property.
The property itself sucks.
We have reduced, and I'm looking at is the property itself. So if you look at a comparison below, that would be both are in rather same areas, both are 3-4 bedroom big properties. Nice in their own ways. One's very modern, one's very. So the only thing that I can think of is that we launched NH residences at the wrong price, but then Chris went to relist and relaunch this property. We got our first booking, second booking, third. I think third, and we're already at our third booking. But that is just
That's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe the future prices aren't set up enough to actually. Maybe we can take a look at the booking window and see what we have in the upcoming booking windows and see if it's within range.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's let me jump into this discussion. I think that's actually a very good model for doing monthly projections. That's a very good impetus to do monthly because then we can track. Then we have full alignment with the owners and with our own company. We can see month to month whether or not we're hitting the targets that we had promised, and it's really just to get this discussion started, right? And for the owner to have this discussion getting started too as well. Why are you not hitting the projection? And that then comes back as a signal to Bukit Vista to do something different and get more, I think, more deep into the revenue management model. So I motion that we actually create a month-by-month projection in order just to have what we're having right now. That kind of discussion needs to come up. And then I think these kinds of discussions can go on new business or I'm stuck. What should we do? And then we can all investigate what is it? Is it an analysis of the booking window? Is it? And then we refine our process to do revenue management. So I think we can pivot. This gives us a better direction to pivot. We pivot onto a monthly model.
Okay. So we stick to the monthly model.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And that will keep us more on our toes.
Okay. So is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion. So I would like to carry this motion. My motion is that we create projections for a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
Now, to fully represent the other side too, this could be very stressful for revenue management because if it's a bad month, then, but that's good too. If it's a bad month, we maybe need to go to the community and report why it's a bad month and issue a video saying why this month sucks. And that way, that encourages our communication more directly to the community if there is a sort of a community level event that brings down, like June, for example. I think that would have been a really good opportunity to communicate something out to the community in the beginning of June, say, hey, look, June doesn't seem to be as good as it is before. Bukit Vista will implement essentially a medium level pricing towards the end of the month in order to build up whatever revenue has been there. And then we can issue that out as a video and as a conference to our community, and they can start understanding this. Because I think certain owners understand it already that we communicate directly with, like Mark, Village Inda, and there's ones that we've had one-on-one. But the community as a whole, I don't think, knows that. So I think that would be a very valuable thing. And yeah, that would be fine. Okay, so my motion is, once again, actually, yeah, I could see even on the case where it can be a problem. It's not a problem, it's actually an opportunity. So my motion is that we create a monthly projection for all new owners and perhaps existing owners once we get around to it. But let's just say for all new owners, we give them a monthly projection of what their revenue is going to look like from this point forward. And if they don't understand it, then we need to just explain to them
Yeah.
the concept of that we're trying to hit a monthly target, and you're giving us control over pricing in order for us to hit the monthly target. Okay, so do I have a second on the motion? Okay, is that a second? Is that a second or is that a question? That's a second. Okay. All right. So I guess the motion passed because Lily has already. Okay. So this then, Mrs. Secretary, goes on to the SLAs for market billing now, or for revenue management. It's an integration of revenue management and market billing, because market billing will be the ones giving you the projections. Oh, right. New discussion. Okay. Wow. Right. Okay. So this increases. This creates a new workflow for revenue managers now. So revenue managers will. Let's have a discussion on. Yeah. This is revenue management. Revenue management is in charge of creating projections. All right. I need a motion here. So does anybody want to stipulate who will create these projections?
I mentioned that it is a revenue manager's job to do projections.
Okay, so normally it has motion for revenue management to come up to be responsible for the projections. Is there a second on this? Okay, it's been seconded by Chris. Okay, is there any discussion about this? Yes, Lily.
Currently, we don't really have a full structure on how revenue management. I know it's just the three of us, but I also had observed that there are, especially on sport Chris, that Candy, I think maybe even D1, some of them are actually practicing revenue right now.
Yeah.
Bali is coaching them.
Yeah.
So how do we involve them at this time, or maybe it's baby steps at this point in time? So Bayu cannot be the only person who's doing revenue projections. I think he has also taken on many different hats too.
Okay. Good discussion. Right. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Chris.
Yes, I think so. If it is because this will be like a new practice, as I can say, and to build the good practices, and so I think so.
I'm not sure what that meant. Was that yes to
Yes.
Step? Yes to.
Yes to involve the D1 and 10D for a discussion about the monthly projections creations.
Okay. I would like to disagree. The reason why is I think we don't even know ourselves how this is going to work. We don't have a workflow yet on creating revenue projections. We don't have a process. And so instead of getting a lot of people involved, I think, into developing a complicated thing, I think Squad 1 should come up with an MVP on how whether it's a formula. I think the easiest way can be essentially a formula. So we plug, let's say, what we estimate to be a median price into a formula, and then that formula calculates what a yearly graph looks like. But then that I think would be the gold medal. But then we need to get that formula working accurately, right? We need to see if that formula. So, for example, if we were onboarding a new property in Bingen, then if it's a villa, we just take a look at the Bingen revenue, filter for villa, and then we track what the shape of that graph is over the year. So let's say, for example, we start in June, July is a 30% increase in June, August is a 30% increase in July, September is a 20% decrease in August. So we essentially then have a market standard for plotting that out. That's what we need for each particular market. And if we have a formula, then we can plug one number in, which is just what we estimate to be the baseline price, and then that formula can calculate what each subsequent month will be. Does that make sense? But I need that MVP to be somewhat accurate and somewhat reliable before we roll it out to other teams. Because essentially, we're asking the other teams to divorce their current model in reference to a better model. But we don't know what the better model, if it's going to be a better model yet. So my proposal is that we start an MVP, we create a formula, and then we test the formula out and see, is this formula actually getting accurate projections, or is it always falling behind? So if it falls behind, then we only have Squad 1 problems, not Squad 1 and Squad 2 problems to deal with.
Okay.
Okay, so that is my motion. So my motion is to start a project on essentially a a monthly revenue calculator. And this calculator would essentially have a few inputs: what region is in, and what type of property it is. And then you select those two those two variables go in, and then either the market builder or the revenue management selects what's the baseline price. Let's say for January, and then after that, the model will come up with the January price, the February price, the March price, based on the statistics that we have from BB Stats.
Okay. What was? I didn't quite catch it.
Oh, okay. So the two variables are essentially the region and then the type of property. Region is whatever property it's in, and then yeah,
Within the
not the median. So we just put in a benchmark property. Or we just put in the what do you call it? It's not the median price, but I guess we can put in the median price. We can put in the median price, and that would then give essentially a forecast of what that property should be able to do across every month.
Okay. So medium price within the region, like say Jimbaran.
Yeah.
Then, okay.
So
Of the area, not across Bali, right?
no, not across the Bali, because then that would be too broad. To give you an idea of what this would look like, let me just illustrate really quickly what I would visualize this to look like. I think I have. Oh, wait, I already have this. What was that? So let's say, for example, we brought in Village Chantik, right? Village Chantik is coming into Jimbaran. So, Jesus Christ, this thing is always bugging out. So my proposal is for something like Village Chantik, we plug in essentially this. I don't know if I have a toggle for a type of property, but we do have the toggle for the area. So we can just click here on area, and then we can isolate to Jimbaran. Okay. I think I can ask Buddy for a dashboard for another toggle on the type of property. Okay. So this is essentially what a yearly projection looks like for a typical property in Jimbaran, right? Then we just start with, let's say, the lowest month in November. What do we predict that the lowest month revenue should be for this property? So then we need a formula for that. But once we have that, then we have essentially a graph for what the December revenue should be, what the January revenue should be, what the February revenue should be, just to follow the percentage. So, for example, there's a 400% increase from November to December, right, in Jimbaran. So let's say, for example, the baseline price for Village Hunting is $2,000 a month. We think that should be the lowest price that we should get a month. All right, so that goes into the November slot. Then we know what the December output should be because it's 4 times that, right? And then we know what the January output should be because it's 50% more than that. And so essentially we plug in whatever is the baseline price here, and then we can see prediction for that particular classification of property in that particular area for the entire year. And we let the owner know that's how we're doing it. And I think that's a very fair, essential comparison. We're telling the owner, you should be able to do as good as the average villa in your region, right? And if you're not, then you're doing something wrong. If you're doing better, then we know you're doing better. And this is really scalable because the more properties go in, the more accurate this becomes over time. So the more Jimbaran villas we have, the more likely the shape of the graph is going to be correct. And we let them know this is based on the previous year's data. Yes, okay,
How can we determine baseline?
Well, that's where you have to do some guessing. I think that's where you have to look at, let's say, minimum level of price times minimum level of occupancy, which is decent. So I would say the baseline price is probably the minimum rate times probably 40% occupancy. That would be my idea of what the bare minimum worst case scenario is like in the lowest season. But we can have a discussion about what sort of, that's just a framework, but we can discuss what is the lowest price and what is the lowest occupancy we can expect. But once we have that, those are the only two variables then, right? What's the lowest price, what's the lowest occupancy? Then those are the only two assumptions we're making. Once those assumptions have been set, the rest should follow market, statistics.
Alright. I think the best way is to just test it out on the next.
Yes.
Then the questions will just pop up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me just articulate this into a SLA.
Yeah.
And then we'll just test it on the next.
Oh wait,
property.
this isn't an SLA yet. This should be a project.
Okay.
Right. So I motion to have. Wait, do I need a motion to have a project? Okay.
I need to do that, yes.
Okay, let me just announce it. I move we have a project, and the project is essentially a forecasting model. So in the forecasting model, we use essentially two assumptions. We use the assumption of what is the minimum occupancy and what is the minimum price for the worst month possible. And then from that, we then use our existing data to plot out what the rest of the year looks like, which is not an assumption. That's based on factual evidence. And then we can create a yearly projection based on that formula, based on historical data, and just two assumptions on what the minimum occupancy and the minimum price is for the lowest occupancy.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think we need to physically do it.
Yeah.
We'll all
Okay.
do it. Yeah.
So we need a project champion on this. Who would be the project champion on this?
I can project.
Sure. Okay. All right. Nunli has volunteered to be the project champion. I'm sure you'll have a
Okay. But then, you want to project champion this?
I'll project champion this.
Okay.
The reason I want to project champion this is because I think I have the clearest idea right now
Okay.
what this should look like. So I'll project champion this. I'll come up with essentially probably an Excel sheet or something with this and that way okay, so I'll project champion this. Okay, great. We have a project board in this squad. Yes, we have a trail card. Okay, so if the secretary can do this, so we have a project champion. Oh, and you have probably the best format for a project template, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to ask Lee as a secretary to then create a Trello card for this particular project, and we'll go on to the next order of business. Okay, on the next order of business is project management. Okay, so I guess we can move this community relations and owner relations project into project management on the.
Okay, what? Sorry again.
Okay, I'm
management.
asking the secretary to move this monthly projections project into project management now.
Yeah.
And we've already discussed about it, so we won't need to discuss about it again. But let's go into project management, old business now. So Nunli will identify 10 properties to sweep through. Okay, Nunli, what's the update on this?
I updated this the last time round actually, so I've given everybody my observations. Basically, I don't think that we are. So from what I've observed, although I'm not exactly still and I'm not worried about the process, it feels like on the villas that I've checked, the pricing remains the same on both high and low season on almost all of them actually.
Really?
Yeah. So. So I don't know if that's the way we're planning to do this or like
Okay.
or maybe we just started this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really not sure.
All right, let me chip in. I believe all of these have essentially fixed contract rates. That's why you're saying that it's the same.
Okay.
So then, do we need a new motion on? Do we need to go back and talk to these folks about whether or not to create dynamic pricing models?
I think that has always been. We always know that it's the end goal for us.
Yes.
But it also needs to be done in, I guess, tranches, which
Right.
we are currently doing. Yes.
I would like to motion that perhaps one of the market builders, for practice, especially since a lot of them have not worked on end of funnel activities, to go to Million Inn and Butterfly Guest House.
Ooh, okay.
All right. So I'd like to nominate Nunli to nominate Peggy or Yuan to negotiate for a dynamic pricing model for Million Inn. Million Inn is essentially a friend of ours. Her name is Katuk Bradley. So I've known their family for like 6 years. I don't think that should be a difficult discussion.
Okay.
But I'd like Yuan or Eggy, perhaps Eggy. I'd like Eggy to give some practice about coaching them and getting them to convert over to dynamic pricing. And then I think Eggy can then collect 3 months revenue on that as essentially a new project. Right?
Okay.
And then for Butterfly Guest House, maybe we could send that to Yuan to have her, or if you don't think she's ready, then maybe to Eggy again.
I think Eggy has a Butterfly might be a bit confusing because graphic is involved in that as well.
Funny. Okay. Well, we gotta put one of the market builders in charge.
Aggie will take charge of both maintenance and supply.
Okay, there's some discussion points for Chris. Chris.
Yeah, I would also like to suggest if Aggie want to go to Melin Inn and Butterfly, maybe can have a little discussion first with Bayu or Om Rafiq of what was the price agreement before, and so that we certainly know how to negotiate with the partner without having to like, hey, I already discussed this with your team. Why you discuss with me again or whatnot? So the discussion can be fluent. Yeah.
Okay, noted, Chris. That's already standard market building procedure. I think when they take over some, then they definitely ask beforehand on a little bit of a briefing to understand what current arrangement is. Okay, great. So, can I get a second on the motion? Okay, it's been seconded by Chris. Is there any further discussion? No, then let's put it to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all right, passes. So we're essentially delegating a pricing negotiating discussion to you one or to Eggy for both Butterfly and to Melon Inn. Fantastic. Let's see and let's review what's happened on the next meeting on the 23rd. Okay. So if the secretary can delete all the other items, just let's keep items 5 and 6, and let's delete all the other items.
All right.
And then let's follow up with Eggy's report and his progress by June 23rd. Hopefully we can activate those on dynamic pricing. Probably not a problem right now because they're all on low pricing, but I think the discussion should start today about what to do for September and October.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
maybe I can
yes, please. Maybe just call this, this is essentially Eggy follow-up on pricing negotiations for dynamic pricing. Okay, we have then, as a matter of new revenue management. Oh, we're almost out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So I might not be able to finish this all. I'm trying to get this done as soon as I can. Okay, so we agreed to meet every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Today has been an exception, and it has been recorded also on the paper, so that should be fine. The meeting flow. Right, we start on Trello. Wait, this sounds like the 2-on-1 now. Okay, we start out on Trello because all business needs to be transferred to Trello. The chair will go down the project Trello card. Project champions.
Okay, I think I know why. I think it's because I copied and pasted, but I forgot. I haven't updated it yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is just a proposal. I think at the moment we need to adopt some of the language. So, Mr. Secretary, let's do this. Can I have the secretary revise and customize this on old business, or so that it's more adapted to the revenue management's particular culture, especially since it says squad one. That's all.
Yeah, I know. That's why. I just
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Okay, if I can have the secretary go and revise this, and I would need it to be customized for revenue management, and we can then now move this to old business. All right. Oh yes. Okay. We'll never have time to cover these. Let's just open this up. Here, I like to open this as a discussion topic. This is very, very heavy, and what I'd like you guys to do is when you're bored and you're not doing anything, of course, please try to understand this. This is quite a lot of material, but it is quite good material. This is where we want to go. We want to get to a world where we have dynamic pricing algorithm. So what is a dynamic pricing algorithm? It means instead of having people like us set the pricing all the time, we'll have the machine set pricing all the time. So this is essentially I know this can be a little bit hard to digest because of the math and such, but I want to kind of approach this as a group. I myself am trying to understand this a little bit better. But essentially what is happening here is that you're creating different models to approximate the pricing better. So what happens is essentially this, right? These black lines are demand price curves. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to set a new curve based on every time there's new data. So what you're seeing in this animation is that when the first pricing points start appearing, the line starts trying to approximate what is the price demand function based on that. But as more data points start appearing, there becomes new lines to approximate where it is. Why is that important? Because that essentially gives you what your end price should be. You're looking at where the demand is, and you're setting a new price based on just linear regression on trying to hit where the majority of sale points are. So what's happening is this: as you can see in the very beginning, there's a big swing, but over time, you're getting essentially a fit. So in the very beginning, your price model is off, and then the actual price is actually below sometimes. So then you're resetting a price model, and then sometimes it's below. But over time, there's a fit. What that indicates is that you got essentially the price exactly right. The pricing model is matching what people are willing to pay, and you have essentially a tight fit now. So what does that mean? That means essentially what we do every time is we try to reset the price so we can get the demand back up and then get another new booking pace, right? So what if we can program the computer to do that for us? So essentially they're adjusting the price and they see if that new price adjustment gets a new booking. If it doesn't, it resets the price again until it gets a booking, and then it keeps with it. But if it then gets too many bookings, then it raises the price again, and so on and so forth. That is the model that we are trying to create. And so, anyways, I just essentially found this as an explanation. I don't understand this yet because it's very complex, but it's okay, right? I think this is a possible first step into understanding how active price is working. So it's automated revenue management. If we want to onboard 1,000 properties, then we cannot do revenue management our way because it is enormously human consumptive. It takes a lot of time. But what we need to do is to do this. We need to find out what the equation is that best fits our localized model. And then we just work on that equation until the equation is perfect, and then we let the machine then use that equation to decide how to plot the next strategy. So that is the most efficient way. I just want to raise some awareness on that over the future. We're not there yet. We don't need this tomorrow. But I think as we get more and more properties, maybe 500, 1,000 properties, this becomes very important. Okay, so that's that. So if I can just have the team just open that up and understand as much as you can. And maybe all I need everyone to do is to come back with 2 questions at the next meeting. Then that would be a good basis for discussion. So I just need everybody in the revenue management just to come back with 2 questions on dynamic pricing algorithms, and we can move that to old business. Okay, that's my motion. All right, so I motion that everybody just take a quick read through that and just come back with 2 questions, and then we can all try to learn this together. I anticipate we are going to try to understand this over multiple weeks, but once we understand it, I think we will have essentially a transformational moment where we can then, and this is why it's also key. We have a candidate right now who might be able to implement this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there is a candidate right now in the hiring pipeline. He's had a discussion with me, and he's having a discussion with Bayou. So he's a mathematic Olympiad. It means he's in like the top 1% of math thinkers in, I think, in Indonesia, but maybe even bigger. And he's also a software computer science student at Boston University, and he wants to intern at Bukit Vista. So I think if we understand this, then we can tell him what we need him to do, and we can start running this. And this is something that is actually pretty transformational. This, then, a lot of owners come to us and they say, when you get bigger, the quality of service you generate because you're spread. This then becomes the opposite. As we become bigger, the quality of what we can predict becomes much better because we have far better data points, and it's being processed automatically all the time on your behalf. The more data we get, the better your predictions are, and the more your revenue will go up. So then, if we can carry this narrative, market building, in fact, then that also creates a community of people who want to join and pool the data together to get more accurate predictions on how it's going to work. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Secretary, for putting that in. We are 5 minutes over time now, and I believe the other matters of old business can be delayed until the next meeting. So I motion to, Ken, we need to have a next leader.
Yeah.
So on the June 23rd meeting, I would like, let's just go with alphabetical now, right? let's go with Chris will be the next chairperson. Jing will be the next secretary, and the next reporter will be Lee. Okay, perfect.
Time 4 p.m.
And the time will be 4 p.m. As per the agreement. Okay, very good. Okay, I motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Okay, it's been seconded. Thank you very much, everyone, and happy revenue management for the upcoming week. So far, okay, all good.
Yeah.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Bye. See ya, Chris.
See ya.
Chris. Please upload, Chris, the video. And oh wait, we have no place to upload the video yet, right?
No problem. Okay, I will stop the recording. Yeah.
Okay, just upload the video here.